Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today we'll have a look at the brand new Aircraft and Avionics Update 1 beta that has just been released by Microsoft. So this is a beta, you will only have access to it when you are inside the beta program, but that shall not prevent us from having a first look at it. I'm just excited for this, as probably all of you are, so I'm really looking forward to what we'll be seeing today. Okay, so with all of that said and done, let's hop right into the aircraft and see what we are going to see. And here we are, inside the citation longitude cockpit, which by default you will notice is very, very dark. Now, luckily there is something we can do about it, but as I'm just about to turn the lights on, or to turn the power on, let's get rid of that control column. Let's have a look at overall what these avionics and screens are going to look like when they power up. Now that is quite a change to the previous G3000 implementation. So the G3000 and G5000 is now totally enhanced by working title, and it provides a lot more details than the previous version. What you're about to see is my very first flight with it, so don't complain if something does seem a little bit odd, but we'll take it right from here. Okay, so first thing that I always do in the longitude is to put the floodlights up, even in daylight, because this is quite a bit nicer, isn't it? Okay, our screens are aligned. Let's go ahead and start with the pre-flight stuff that we have to do in this airplane. So, weight and fuel. Empty weight, we'll just about take it from here. Payload, we have 2 passengers. Fuel on board, we'll just synchronize that, thank you very much. And for the landing, fuel reserves, let's see. For our arrival is 1428. We will be flying this aircraft from Cologne, Bonn, towards Hamburg Airport. So with that said and done, let's go right into the flight plan. At origin, we are departing from Cologne Airport, and our destination is going to be Hamburg. Procedure, departure, select. Okay. So on this one, we are going to depart via the PODIP departure from runway 14 left, so that is going to be PODIP. From runway 32 right actually, so PODIP 1 Charlie departure. And we can load that. And what's new here, we can see we have all the restrictions in. So 700 feet altitude, 210 knots maximum, you can see that from the little bar that you have above the speed. And that stuff is all in. Okay, then, from PODIP onwards, we will join an airway, Yankee 867, towards Whiskey Romeo Bravo, and we are gonna load that. At Whiskey Romeo Bravo, we will pick up Papa 12 towards Norta, load, and then Papa 605 towards Nolgo. And here we go, load airway. Perfect. Arrival is going to be the ILS approach for our runway 23, and we will probably have a Nolgo arrival for that in here as well, which, if I'm not totally mistaken, is Nolgo to Papa for runway 23, and here we go. We load that in, and do note all the restrictions that we're seeing in here. We have the between restriction for Nolgo between 4,000 and 1,000. We have our speed restrictions, we have our above restrictions. Very, very nice to see all this. Finally, we will have the ILS approach, and we will take the IAFS Delta Hotel 657. We load that in as well. Not approved for GPS guidance, is for monitoring only. Load approach? Yes. Okay, and we can see how it's just joined up here. So, previously it always used to head to the airport first, and it had all these bugs. But look at this. It's actually one fine route as it is supposed to be. I'm very much looking forward to see what that is going to feel like when we get into the flight. Let's have a look at the VNAV page. So, VNAV enabled, yes. We have an FMS speed of 200 knots in the departure terminal area. And then if we go to the climb page, look at this. We got a climb schedule in here, which currently is for a maximum rate climb, cruise climb, high speed climb, or pilot defined. So look at that. Let's take a high speed climb. And it's taking 300 knots and 0.8. Very nice. The only thing I did not find yet is how to modify the transition altitude. So in Germany this should be set to 5,000 feet and not to 18,000. But I guess we can't have it all, or I guess that is probably still in development as we speak. 250 knots below 10,000 is also in, and we have a terminal area speed at 200 knots below 2,500 feet within 4 miles of the airport. And we could change this to our likings. We're just going to keep it at where it is. We're just going to keep those default values. For the cruise, we've got it on a high-speed schedule, 320 knots, Mach 0.84, and the descent is pre-programmed as well, but we'll review that as we actually get into the flight. So, squawk, we'll take the default IFR squawk of 2000. Look at that, the transponder auto mode is actually simulated there. That is all very, very nice. Let's look at the performance up here. So, we've got Cessna Model 700. Let's go for takeoff data. Cologne 32 right. What does that weather say? Load the META wind, look at that. We can actually get our META up here. And this is the current data as of the moment of this recording. Okay, and it said the temperature was 2 degrees. So let's put that in as well. Runway. Takeoff run available. We can reduce that, but it is in feet. I don't want that in feet. Can we change it? Utilities, setup, avionics settings, units, I guess in here. Altitude and vertical speed in feet. Temperature in Celsius. Okay. Doesn't look like we can change that runway distance yet, but we will get to that. So, back into the performance, takeoff data. Okay, we'll just take it like this. Let's just reduce the takeoff run available, something like 6,000 feet, then we can save ourselves a little bit of taxi. Okay, takeoff config, flaps 1 anti-ice will be on for this departure. Reverse a stowed of course. And it is going to be a rolling takeoff. Okay. And that actually calculates the takeoff data for me. We are going to accept that. And does that automatically send it to the speed box? Let's have a look. Speed box? Yes, it does. So that's all automatically loaded in. Very, very nice. Okay. So, I think that completes our setup. The only thing we need to do now is to check our aircraft systems. We have a couple of controls here that we can change. So, for example, cabin temperature, we are aware of that. But cabin pressure, that one is new. And we're just going to take it into normal. And it is going to use our flight plan data for that. So, then exterior lights, we are aware of that. And finally, propulsion, what can we do in here? Oh, we just get some, what can we do here? Okay, not 100% sure what exactly we're doing in here. The other thing we need to do is to review our system summary. So let's have a look into the different pages. We have our aircraft electrical system up here, where we can see that everything is showing normal. APU is currently shut down as we are running off the external power down here. Let's see if we can actually get that somewhere. Yeah, over here. External power is powering the buses at the moment. Okay, then hydraulics. Look at everything that Microsoft has actually simulated there. As I told you, this is my very first look, so I am just as impressed with this as you probably are. For the fuel, currently half load of fuel in here, more than sufficient for the citation longitude. Take a look at the anti-ice and do note we are missing a couple of indications up here, but up here everything does seem to be there on the synoptic pages. Bleed air system, looking good as well. We don't have bleed air source at the moment, only the recirculation fans are operating. Flight controls, and we'll check that later on. And then we have our pre-flight checks up here. And not 100% sure if there's anything that I actually need to do on this page, but overall, very well looking. Let's go to the summary page. That is like the most important data that we have. So one thing I do notice up here is the temperatures. We've selected 21 degrees and the current is only 6 degrees. In other words, let's get that APU running. And let's see, that's just the electrical for the APU. Do we have any more detailed information somewhere? Oh yes, down here, APU, RPMs and EGT. Steadily increasing. Alright, the APU started. We see the APU generator. It's under a little bit of a load here. I wonder why, because we do have external power connected. But what do I know? Probably not a lot about this aircraft. Okay, so let's have a look into the bleed air system now. APU bleed is still off. I believe we can turn that on manually somewhere down here. Well, APU bleed is actually set to normal. Maybe it takes a few minutes, because in the 737, for example, we are supposed to wait 2 minutes on, from the moment the APU is started to the moment where the APU bleed can be turned on. But look at this. That was probably just about a minute, as I was saying. So now let's turn it on. If you listen closely, you can actually hear the APU, or you can actually hear the air conditioning. Very well done. Temperatures are increasing. Very nice. Okay. So that looks pretty good to me. Then let's go ahead and I do believe we have done pretty much everything down here. So we have the other controller on this side where we can select the different PFD settings. And one thing that is new here, we are all used to seeing the PFD like this, are we? But in real life, you rarely operate the airplane like this. What they do in real life is this. To put the map up next to the PFD. Actually, in most cases, they put the charts up there. However, and that is the big downside of this update, it looks like they have actually removed the Navigraph charts functionality that they had before. So that actually seems to be removed, which is unfortunate. Also, something I could not find yet is electronic checklists. So, to my knowledge, the checklist button should have been just up here. However, it did vanish with the latest update, so it does seem like they removed that. Which is unfortunate, but you know, I guess we can't have it all. Okay, so our initial climb is going to be to an altitude of 5,000 feet. Let's have a look over some of the PFD settings up here. That's the map, we don't want that, we want the PFD settings. So, PFD wind, we'll take option number 3, AOA automatic, the units will go to hectopascals, and we don't need the meters overlay. Horizon heading, that is basically your heading indicated up here on the horizon line. Synthetic vision, we can turn that on, so that's going to give us the airport view in the background. And some general settings, times UTC and comm spacing, we want 8.33 kHz comms. Okay. So nav source is going to be the FMS. Bearing, let's put something active, even though I don't really estimate using something. But what we can do is quickly go down here and tune our nav radios. So 115.4 can go active nav 1 and 111.65 and number 2 for our departure. So what do we have now? Where do we get that information? Should be just down here, shouldn't it? Or is that just in the full screen? Oh yeah, in the full screen we do sit down here. Okay. Has to be due to my settings. Okay, speedbox, we've got them from here. They are turned on. However, I don't see them indicated up here. What happens if we turn them off and on again? Yeah, okay, the numbers aren't showing here. That surprises me a bit, but it looks like data is actually transferred there. So we do get the V-speed flag if we turn it off. So I guess that is probably alright then. Okay, certainly good enough for me. Let's go ahead and do the rest of the pre-flight procedure. From my heading is going to be 317. Initial climb 5000 we have pre-selected. Ramp up power on. And the QNH is going to be 1020. Okay. So that is pretty much everything completed down here. External power can be disconnected. Now we have bus tie closed, fuel boost pumps on right, park and brake on, no takeoff. Okay, that is good enough for me. Alright, over here everything is pretty much set. Let's go down to the pedestal. Oh look, we now have the hydraulic pump switch is operative. Secondary trim, guess we don't need that. Fuel pumps normal. Gravity cross flow closed. Let's have a look into a couple more of those switches here. So everything is normal on the fuel system. Starters we don't need yet. That is all in normal and the APU is running. Okay, that's pretty much the setup complete. Let's go ahead and read the cockpit items and before start checklist. Circuit breakers in, standby power test on, battery buttons both on. Electronic instrument system checked, oxygen system checked, hydraulic data checked, APU started, APU generator on. External power disconnected, cockpit controls checked, trims. So we can set those up here into the green range for our takeoff. I'm just gonna start with a rather nose-heavy aircraft so that I don't accidentally over-rotate. Fuel quantity and CG checked, autopilot, quick check if that thing is engaging and disengaging. And it is, okay. Press that toga button, we might need the toga mode for takeoff, always a good idea to have. And that's pretty much our cockpit items checklist complete. Let's go ahead with the before start checklist. Park and brake, that is, where is that park and brake once again? In this aircraft. Down here, set. Wheel chucks removed, cabin door curtain closed, passenger briefing complete, seatbelts adjusted, seatbelt button. That is new as well, so passenger safety and seatbelts going on. Anti-collision light on, emergency lights armed. Okay, record lights on, clear behind, fuel shut-off valve checked, before start checklist complete. So we're ready to start the engines. So the beacon light is on, throttles both idle. Then let's go ahead with the actual engine start procedure. So we're gonna turn the right engine master switch to run and engage the starter. And now let's watch the engine start. Okay, we have a good start on the number 2 engine. Can put the cover back in place and let's start engine number 1. And 2 is increasing. All pressure and 1. Okay, that's 2 good starts. Then let's just go ahead and monitor that electrical system. as I'm about to reset the generators. So, generator 1, reset, then on. Generator 2, reset. And look, it's actually doing it. Then on. Okay, APU generator off, bus tie. Checklist tells me the bus tie is supposed to be open, which it is, okay. And APU can go off. Let's do the flight control track. And we do have a flight control page in here. I just need to find it again. Here it is. So, flight controls. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, and the rudder, full left, full right, neutral. Flaps go to 1. And watch as the flap going into the 1 position. Perfect. Okay, then ice protection. We are going to turn the engine anti-ice on for our departure. Wing and stabilizer not yet. Pitot static is in normal. That looks pretty perfect. Okay, we are ready for taxi. At least we are ready for taxi as soon as my zoom is working. But when we're in here anyway, let's quickly go to the map. And we'll take the map on the left side, and then on the right side we will take the weather radar, I guess. Actually, let's take the overlay weather. It's nice that you can actually switch between the two. Okay. So we're all set up, and if only my airplane would be so kind to allow me to zoom out. Thank you very much. Now it's doing it. Not really. No. That lovely view bug is apparently still there. Don't really know how I'm forcing this to happen, but we'll be there in a second. Look at how it tries to go out for a moment and then goes right back in. Let's try that from the outside. Okay, come on. You've gotta fix this eventually. No? Patron just reset itself, wondering why it did that. But this is better. Okay, so brake is released, and then I would like to start. Let's try to reset that. Look at this. Would you be so kind to... No? Is it frozen in this view? Look at how I'm trying to change that zoom level, and it keeps freezing at 82%. Let's try this. Okay, well, this is a little bit of a problem here. Because obviously I cannot fly with a zoom like this, where I can see literally nothing. But I'll try our luck. Let's go to the outside. We'll try a taxi like this. Maybe it just becomes better after a few moments. On the outside, my zoom still works. Nice how you can turn the airplane almost on the spot. Okay, just from the inside, no zoom at the moment. Here we go. I did absolutely nothing, but it's working again. Okay, no comment on that. Okay, so as we're taxiing along, let's go to the systems once more. What's the Alt S doing there? So, off to the right. Might just take my view up a bit higher. It definitely taxis nicer like this. Okay, here we are. So, before takeoff checklist down to the line. Flaps set for takeoff, speed brakes, retracted, trims, once again down here in the green range, all three of them, set for takeoff, ice protection on, takeoff speeds displayed, and now they're actually showing as well. Not sure exactly at what point that happened, but they're showing now. Okay, nav source. Let's cycle that through. Set to FMS. Speed knob. Let's leave it in FMS as well. Then we are going to get our speed managed by the computer. Crew briefing complete. Weather radar is off before takeoff checklist complete down to the line. Okay, intersection Alpha 3, we will take that and not taxi to the full length. One thing I did notice here is that the initial heading of that SID, for some reason, seems to be the heading I've had on the parking position. So they don't align it with the runway yet. That's something that they should probably fix before the official release. But nonetheless, I will just stop on the runway and try to see if I can reselect that SID to see if that makes actually a change. Okay, so lights on. So, timing and takeoff. Set takeoff thrust. Takeoff thrust set, indications normal. 80 knots, checked. V1, rotate. Gear up, positive rate. And I forgot to cycle that SID, but doesn't matter. We're about at $0.041 anyway. So let's go VNAV, nav, and autopilot. So, speed is supposed to be 200 knots. But actually, it looks to me like it has not captured that. Okay. Yeah, I pressed the wrong mode. Level change is what I should have been in. One to go. Let's go up all the way to cruise level. Back in level change, and then we'll go all the way up to flight level 230. So we're still within 4 miles from the airport, that's why the speed target is still 200 knots. But I guess it will increase any moment now. And set standard. Passing 66, climbing 230. Still within 4 miles from the airport. Looks like I might actually have to, looks like I might have to change that distance for my next flight. Okay, flaps can go up. And here we go, accelerating 250 knots. That was quite a rapid pitch down here. Passengers would certainly not have liked that. And the same... yeah, that pitch up is still quite rapid. Let's see, we're passing 10,000. Speed target goes to 300 knots. Quite a rapid acceleration here still. Of course, it might have helped if I had put my engines into climb thrust a bit earlier. It's been a while since I've flown this plane. Okay, 6,000 feet a minute. Lovely. So let's see how it actually handles a direct. Let's go direct to Whiskey Romeo Bravo. Can we get that from the flight plan somewhere here? Doesn't look like it, then we have to do it from here. So, Whiskey Romeo Bravo, direct, activate. And it's flying pretty much there. That actually looks pretty good. So, after takeoff checklist, landing gear up, flaps up, throttles climb, ice protection, yeah, we can switch it off now. Engine anti-ice is off. Pressurization. So, let's have a look down here. The cabin altitude is climbing and the differential pressure is building. Very good. So, seatbelts. I think we're clear of any turbulence here, so let's release the passengers. Seatbelts are off. Altimeter standard and exterior lights set. After takeoff climb checklist complete. So, while we are climbing up to cruise level, and while we will be cruising along, let's play a little bit with the avionics and with all the nice stuff that we will have on here. We'll start on the left screen. As we've seen already, we can split it. So we can go to the full screen view like we are right now, or we can go to the split view like this. And honestly, the split view is what, to my knowledge, is used the most. So, apart from that, we have PFD map settings. That is going to be the next thing that we will be going through as we are flying along. But we're approaching our level off, so let's go to vertical speed. VS. Nice, it's actually taking over the vertical speed that we had by the time we pressed the VS button. It didn't do that previously and always try to go to VS 0. So very nice that it is actually taking this over now. We can also engage the auto throttle. The button is a little bit hidden down here. But auto throttle is on now in speed mode. So, 1 to go. 1,000 feet a minute. Looks good. Okay, that thing is pretty much leveling off. Look at that time. 7 minutes into the air, and we're about at flight level 230 already. So looking at my primary flight display, one thing that I'm missing up here is the yaw damper indication. So we do have autopilot and auto throttle, and I'm very sure that this is supposed to be for the yaw damper. And we're leveling off at cruise level. Look at how the speed target for the auto throttle changed to the high speed cruise, which we inserted on the VNAV page during pre-flight. So let's see, we're about to reach that speed. And it is reducing its thrust. Looks good to me. Okay, the one thing that I am still missing is the yaw damper. And I'm not 100% sure where to find that. I would expect it here on the mode control panel, but without the yaw damper, well, we shouldn't be flying at these speeds, but nonetheless, let's give it a try. The first thing we are going to do, actually, before we start playing around with the panels, is to have a look into our FMC once again, and most importantly, determine our top of descent. At least if it would let me zoom in. Looks like the zoom broke itself once again. Well, in that case, we'll just have to do it this way. So, here we are. Okay, so, VNAV. Let's see, profile. Here we are, that looks better. So with a target of a 3-degree descent, we're getting a top of descent in 18 minutes time. That is quite nice. Let's see, the transponder is still in auto, but I guess that is alright. What happens if we turn it manually? Okay, nothing. Well, that is perfectly fine for me. 18 minutes to go till the top of descent, and that is still with a descent at 300 knots on Mach 0.8, 3 degrees, and that looks pretty alright to me. Okay then, let's see a little bit of the stuff that we are able to do with our maps up here. So I will start with the map that we have here on the multifunction display once more, and let's see what we have. Traffic, we do want to turn that on. And, okay, we can choose. We want to have relative traffic that is set to below range. And we have the motion vector. Yeah, we can absolutely turn that on. Do give me my absolute motion, please. What can we do in the map settings? Okay. Maximum 25 aircraft showing. But nice that we have all these options available. Let's go back and let's see a little bit more. Orientation, I want a track up map, not a heading up map. Map synchronize, okay, that would pretty much synchronize the left and right PFD maps, I suppose. But we don't need that at the moment. For the terrain, what can we do in here? Map settings, okay. Can put a scale on, I suppose. Well, whoever likes to have that. And the weather radar overlay. Nice to have, because why not? Doesn't cost us any money in here. And of course, I do like to have my inset window down here. That gives me a little bit more flight information. Okay, for the aviation data, this is really just standard stuff. What do we have along other? Track vector, yeah, we do want that. That little track line there. Sorry, that little blue track line over there, very, very helpful when you're turning onto your final approach. So let's keep that one active as well. And the selected altitude range arc is also a very good thing to have. I wonder why we don't have stuff like the fuel ring or the wind vector or something, but the selected altitude range arc is basically that altitude banana that you're used to from the Boeing aircraft that you might have flown. Oh, and we can set our standby altimeter standard as well. Okay. So that's the map settings that we can change. Let's go to full. And this also gives us the current VNAV information profile in here, which is always nice to have. So in here we can most importantly see the time to the top of descent and the active VNAV waypoint, which is here null between 4,000 and 11,000 feet. Okay, so let's play around a little bit. Let's go to the traffic map. What kind of stuff can we do in here if we go to the traffic settings? The same we could do before. Okay, easy. Weather radar. So let's increase that range a little bit. This is nicer. So let's go in weather menu. We can choose between two different modes. Number one is the connect mode, and the other one is the actual weather radar. So this connect thing basically is satellite weather data that is downloaded from the airplane via internet. So this is satellite data which may or may not be 100% accurate. If we want to go more accurate, let's go to the actual weather radar, turn that one on, and you can put it to active weather. I want the bearing line and I want a little bit greater range. So we do actually get a couple of returns over here as well. Can it do that in vertical as well? Yes, it can, even though this is really, well, you have to determine how useful that is to you due to the altitude limits up here. So this is basically plus or minus 60,000 feet, so this represents 60,000 feet. Of course it does become less as you reduce it, or as you reduce the range, but you get where I'm going with this. Taking horizontal, but let's switch the weather radar back off, and let's go back to connect. And actually what we can do here is also go into a couple of settings. So let's see, define coverage. Well, I guess that's the kind of stuff that the airplane wants to download. So what kind of information do we have available here? Only the radar, okay. But that is something to start with. So we did get our departure METAR earlier on. Let's see if we can get the same for our destination. So, destination Hamburg. Let's go to waypoint info. And weather. Perfect. We can get our destination weather in here. Look at this. That is nice. And that's our original METAR. Gotta love it. However, looking at the METAR, we have clouds broken in 300 feet. That is going to be an interesting one as we come in for the approach. In other words, we'll have to do an auto land straight away. Or not an auto land, but at least an approach almost down to the category 1 minima. With the clouds lying down that low. So that does promise to become quite interesting. The only thing once again that's grayed out here is the charts and the TORs. Well, and the music, but let's be honest, you can use your own music. Let's go to performance once more, landing data. Okay, so let's take the predicted landing weight, Hamburg, runway 23, weather, load the METAR data, and interesting that this is coming through in inches. I thought I had set that to hectopascals. Let's go to units once more. Okay, not sure how that got their inches. But anyway, as long as we get the correct data loaded, that is totally fine with me. So if we have a look at the META once again, 1018. So 1 hectopascal equals 0.03 inches. In other words, we're looking at 5 more than standard, so plus 15, 2992 plus 15. Yeah, that is almost correct. So even though it's not giving me the unit I want, it is giving me the correct data. Let's go to runway, distance available, elevation, runway heading. Ooh, that looks like a wind shear. Yep, lovely little wind shift there. Let's see how the airplane's gonna handle that. Well, it is reducing its speed, okay. That's something, I suppose. As we're flying along, let's give ourselves another shortcut here. So, let's do that on the right unit, and we want to go direct to Nolgo. Nolgo, direct, activate. Thank you very much. And off we go. Okay, so the airplane does seem to be flying it fine. Let's look into our landing configuration then. So, landing flaps, full is the only option we have. Anti-ice will be on. Thrust reversers, okay, we can't select those. Factor, well, officially we have to take a 1.15% factor since it is going to be a wet runway. And the auto throttle, well, it will be on. Okay, so landing data. We're gonna accept those speeds. The approach 125, VREF 114. Okay, landing distance available 10,151 feet. Landing distance required 3,251. Okay, easy going. But that data is accepted, so let's quickly head over to the other unit over here. And in here, we do want to set those speed box. So takeoff box went off automatically, landing box went on automatically. It has accepted it and taken it over. And looks like the wind shift is just reversing itself over here. But that actually looks quite good to me. It's fixed itself. It is trying to regain its profile, so we have a look over here. It went to maximum thrust, it is trying to correct, so I guess I just shouldn't fly my plane all the way to the maximum speed there. But then again, we aren't paying for the fuel, then we can do it as well. Top of descent, up there, 50 miles ahead. So we said we have a QNH of 1018. Let's go ahead and pre-select that. So, rotating the barrel selector right here, I can actually pre-select my QNH. Let's try a bit of stuff, and no, looks like none of these buttons actually works, except for the range. What can we do if we click on it? Okay, we get the cursor. Can we send it direct to the cursor? No, it doesn't look like it. But I suppose we can use it to move the map around. Yep, we can. If we want to have a look at... oh, okay. Well, that would probably be easier if we just held that button in our hands. I guess we can't have it all. Okay, so let's play around a little bit with the map we have over here. We also want to configure that to our likings. So, let's see, PFD map settings. And, well, first of all, what kind of maps can we insert up here? HSI map, that changes the HSI down here. Inset map. I guess we need full screen for that. Yep. If we go full screen, we can get the inset down here, but I much prefer the split screen over that. Traffic inset, traffic over here, but if I split the screens, then that's going away okay. And that does seem to be pretty much what I can do up here. Wondering if I can trick it a little bit. So we've just set the other map up for us. What happens if we go to the map settings up here now? And then we go map sync. Initially sync settings from left MFD. Perfect, here we go. Now we've just sent our settings over from the left side. From the MFD onto the left side. Perfect. So that's pretty much all the changes that I did want to do. Let's try something once more, and I do want to see what happens if I go to manual speed. Well, first of all, it synchronizes the speed block, as we can see. Let's move that around a little bit. Let's see, I want to go down to 310 knots. Well, let's say I just want to change it to a Mach number, actually. That works pretty well. If I turn this back to FMS, it actually does go back to its target speed, okay. Perfect, fine. So that looks like we have pretty much explored most of the interesting stuff. What do we have here? Cross-site GTC in full screen mode. Okay, so we can't do anything up here. Unless we go to half screen mode. And now we've got our system controls once again. So let's check what these systems look like in cruise. So, left generator is online, right generator is online, APU gen and external power offline, of course. Batteries are providing voltage, but 0 amperage. Okay, so can we do anything interesting in here? So beacon and normal, navigation lights, and pulse lights with TCAS, TARA, okay, well, that's not really too interesting for us, is it? It did select the correct landing field elevation right from the navigation data, and we actually have it up here on the our MFD as well. So if we just go down here for a second and have a look at this, then we can see cabin altitude is indicating 1,900 feet. Actually, this moving of the aircraft is a little annoying. Let me put FS Realistic off, and now we have a bit more silence up here. So cabin altitude 1900, steady, 7.8 psi, landing elevation set. Electrical is showing okay, APU is off, landing gear up. Stabilizer is trimming itself as we fly along, that's fine. Fuel, we finally have it in pounds as well. So on the previous version, it always used to be in gallons, which was a little bit annoying. Apart from that, we have a little bit of other stuff up here, which is all not really, well, not really so interesting if I'm not totally honest with you. Let's go to full map, that's really all we need. Flight plan is probably a good page to be on. And we've just overflown the top of the descent, so we do have our VNAV markings going away down here. Let's go down, initially 11,000, we'll take a level change, and let's arm VNAV, and try to fly the airplane right into the VNAV path. We have to capture it from above, it seems, as I missed the top of descent, but here we go. So we have two sorts of indications here now. One is on the bottom right of the MFD. We have target vertical speed should be 2,156, and then required 2,300, and we are 600 feet above the profile, but we are slowly nearing the profile once again. And that is the same that we can see on the PFD as well. So over here, that's our VNAV profile, and I believe it should engage any moment. Yep, VNAV path, auto throttle and speed mode. Very nice. And down here it's showing us the target vertical speed. So as we're flying in VNAV now, that VS, or the actual vertical speed, pretty much becomes the target. And we are now following the profile as we can see. Apart from that, it is showing us our next altitude restriction. So Nolgo is between 4,000 feet and 11,000 feet, as we can see up here, and we are seeing the lower limit of that on the PFD. In case you're wondering why the aircraft is actually using thrust right now, as we can see it's giving us approximately 70% thrust. In case you're wondering why that is the case, that is because most business jets, as you just saw, when you just go to idle thrust and put it into level change, these things really drop down quickly. So you normally do need to use a bit of thrust on the descent in order to avoid having to pitch down all the way. So right now we're flying like a 3-degree nose down profile, which does look fairly decent to me. Let's have a look what that looks like from the outside. And that is it. You can see that is a rather acceptable deck angle for our passengers, versus if we actually went for an idle descent, the nose would be pointing like 7.5 degrees down or so, which is not very nice for the passengers. And keep in mind, an hour of flying in this aircraft costs something between 7 and 10,000 euros, so you do want to keep it nice for the passengers, do you? About to enter some clouds, let's put the engine anti-ice on, and hey, I can zoom again. Engine anti-ice on. Okay, and then let's quickly read the descent checklist. Pressurization. Landing elevation, 39 feet verified. Altimeters to go at the transition level and exterior lights set. Descent checklist complete. Let's put the altitude down all the way to 4,000. And then we can go to set altimeters 1018. And it nicely went to the preset value over there. That is good to see. Okay, this might get a bit bumpy. Seatbelt signs on. Okay, target speed is reducing 220 knots, as that is the speed restriction that we have in here for Delta Hotel 609. So let's see how well VNAV is going to handle that. Passing Norgo, we are supposed to be in 11,000, the highest. And we do have a bottom of descent indication over here, so it might level off. Let's see what it's going to do. Yeah, look at that. It's actually leveling off at 11,000. And it's probably going to keep that until we are passing the next topper descent. Yeah, topper descent in 40 seconds. So that's a bit of a threat here. Do remember, we are clear to 4,000 feet, but VNAV actually stops the descent in 11,000. A new topper descent is drawn up here, but in real life the pilot would have to go to vertical speed mode here in order to keep the airplane descending. Now, let's see how good this thing is actually gonna descend. Take it out of VNAV and put it into level change. Look at how quickly it's pitching down here. Interestingly enough, the FMS speed target has increased back to 250 knots the moment we went out of VNAV. I wonder if it's supposed to do that, cause it seems rather unlikely to me, if I'm honest. I have never flown with a G3000, so I might be mistaken, but it does seem rather unlikely if you ask me. Nevertheless, we'll take it. We'll just take the descent and go down all the way to 4,000, and then we might be able to get a quick shortcut on our way in. So let's read the approach checklist. Landing data confirmed, ice protection, or we'll leave it on for now. Flight instruments avionics, checked set, crew briefing complete, passenger briefing complete, seatbelts adjusted, and seatbelt signs on. Approach checklist complete. So, do we have an altitude banana anywhere? Yeah, we do. Down there. A little bit hard to see, but there it is. So you can see the airplane is really descending very rapidly here right now. Now it's changing the speed target back 220. Okay. So not sure why it temporarily increased to 250 knots. It's back to 220 where it's actually supposed to be right now. One thing that is worth noting, by the way, is how you can see on the compass rose down here that it says it's set to FMS navigation and it is in terminal navigation mode. And I did notice that earlier on, that on the departure it showed us that it was in departure mode, en route it showed us it's in en route mode, and now it's in terminal navigation, and that basically determines the accuracy to which the system has to operate. In other words, for what we are flying at the moment, a full-scale deflection of the deviation bar up here in terminal mode would probably equal 1 nautical mile offset from our actual route of flight, while in en route navigation a full-scale deflection would be 5 nautical miles. So that's how the system switches between the different modes of accuracy. For those of you who are rather used to airliner flying, you will be familiar with the term RMP, and that is pretty much between what it is switching over there. It's just named a little bit different by Garmin. Do note how nice it actually draws that final turn up there. One thing that I am wondering about is if it automatically selects the correct approach frequency. No, it didn't. So that is something that I would have expected it to do, but doesn't matter too much, we'll just have to do it manually then. So we're landing in Hamburg on runway 23. So that's a frequency of 111.5. We'll set that active in both radios. Okay, that's better. And the minimum for this approach is 255 feet. We might want to set that as well. So, utilities, minimums, 255 feet barometric, enter. And here we have it on our primary flight display. Okay, let's take the next shortcut. We'll go direct to the 10-mile point, so direct to the Charlie India for runway 23, the center fix. Direct to, activate, and look at that. That's a pretty properly drawn intercept, and look at how it has armed the localizer and how it is already showing us the glide slope information, but since that is not the active nav source, it is actually shown in grey instead of the typical green. But it is going to be interesting to see how the airplane is going to fly us onto that. For now, let's start a shallow descent towards 3,000 feet, which is the platform altitude. We'll go 300 feet a minute. So, it starts to obey the next speed limit, 170 knots, overhead PSAS. And we do get a VNAV path over here as well. Turning final. Approach mode is armed. Localizer alive. Localizer capture, and look how it switched over the navigational mode from the FMS to the localizer mode right now. But VNAV is still giving us a proper speed target over here at 170 knots, which we are required to have by PSAS. Well, if localizer capture, runway heading 228 is set. Glide slope capture, missed approach altitude, we have it down here, 4,000 feet. Set. Okay, established on the ILS. So, flaps 1, you can see how our speed is slowly increasing there. And that should help the plane get itself under control. Little ballooning effect there, which is kinda to be expected. It's still an idle and still has some difficulty maintaining its speed, so let's bring flaps 2 out. Tiny bit of wobbling up and down here. Let's see how the autopilot is going to proceed with that. Gear down. We'll get a manual speed control here, down to 126 knots, which is going to be our approach speed. Flaps full. Before landing checklist. Landing gear, down, 3 green. Flaps, full. Exterior lights, on. And speed brakes, retracted, ground spoiler switch, normal, electronic instrument system checked, autopilot and auto throttle will have to be disengaged just above the threshold, but for now we'll just keep the autopilot flying us down. We have a bit of a tailwind here. Wind is now 355 at 8 knots, as we can see. My plan is to let the autopilot fly us all the way down till we are visual with the runway. We kind of start getting the approach lights inside up there, but we'll let the autopilot fly us all the way down. And then we'll just disconnect the last minute. So I want to see how good the autopilot can handle this plane with the avionics update. It is not auto-land capable, that is something to note. Okay, here we are. Runway is inside. Auto throttle off, autopilot off, and let's go ahead for a manual landing then. Continue. So that flight director is surprisingly usable. I didn't expect that. Okay. Not nice, not pretty, but thrust reverses, green. Manual brakes, 80 knots. And here we are. Welcome to Hamburg. Let's vacate that runway, quickly stop the airplane to clean it up. So, after landing checklist, lights, we'll just put it on taxi. Flaps can go up. Speed brakes, retracted, and lights set. Okay, after landing checklist complete. Then let's taxi to the general aviation parking, which is just over here. So, first 45 minutes flying with the new avionics update is done. Let's stop that timer. We'll just take the first to the right over here. And then park at the first possible gate. No comments on my taxi skills, please. It's been a while since I've flown this plane. And here we are. Okay, parking brake set. Guess who forgot to start the APU? We'll better do it now. Actually, we don't need to. We do have a ground power down here. Okay, so ground power is on, and let's shut the engines down. Okay, shutdown checklist. Throttles, idle, park brake, set, ice protection, off, engine status, stopped, seatbelts, off, APU, off. Electronic instrument system and CAS is checked. Main battery is connected, standby power is on. And APU and APU generators off. Shutdown checklist complete. Okay, that's it. The very first flight in the Cessna Citation Longitude with the new Aircraft and Avionics Update 1 beta. So, what's my overall opinion then? I am blown away. I am absolutely blown away. This is an incredible update, and it's brought the Citation Longitude to an entirely new level, which I never ever expected before. So, the update exceeded my expectations by far, and you can be very sure that you are going to see this aircraft in future live streams. Keep the good work up, Microsoft. Sim Update 11 has been a total hit with the A310 inside, and this update just tops it off once again. With this, Microsoft Flight Simulator is really becoming a very, very good platform, even with the default aircraft now. There is one downside to it. That is that they have removed the Navigraph chart access in the G3000 and G5000 avionics suits. Now that is probably due to some internal problems, I guess some illegal problems as well, because previously the G3000 has been a third-party app. Previously it's been a third-party app, now it is no longer, so now it is an official Microsoft avionics suit. And I guess that just brings in some different legal considerations. Nonetheless, I do hope that they are going to add electronic checklists into the aircraft, hopefully sooner than later, and hopefully for sure before an official public release. But for a first version, this is an absolutely enjoyable aircraft. It is far better than I expected when I saw the first previews on that live stream from Asobo themselves. So I'm very, very happy with that update. I'm looking forward to show it to you in a future live stream. Until then, I would like to thank you very much for being with us. Hope that you have enjoyed the flight. And as always, like, comment and subscribe. And if you do want to support the channel, you can do so through the Buy Me Coffee link that you can find in the video description below. Thank you very much for joining, everyone, and I'm looking forward to see you all again very soon.